I was taught, and by, I guess, early age, by listening to people, says never put money over mankind. Don't put money first. Therefore, it was never in my life, in my career, how much money am I going to make?
Dr. Shelley Stewart is chairman and CEO of O2 Ideas, one of the oldest advertising agencies in this country. When he started the firm in 1967, he was a silent partner because blacks and whites couldn't openly work together. Today, he leads this diverse company, creating branding campaigns for national clients such as Honda, Verizon, and Books A Million. His success, and that of his business, is based on bringing people together.
And everything that's successful in this country that stayed there for many years had that, not only the brand, but was able to communicate and form relationships.
This core value starts with the personal connection he creates every day with his O2 Ideas team.
We have the privilege of having a guy here who leads us, who just energizes the room when he walks in. But even when he's not here, we still feel his presence because he's sort of inculcated this spirit of togetherness. And I really do care about you, and I really do care about my fellow worker because of his influence. Unlike any other man I've ever known, Shelley's been able to teach us how to see the other person's viewpoint of a situation.
He was born in 1934 and lived with his 3 brothers in a tiny shack in Rosedale, a black community in Homewood. Shelley Stewart's humble beginnings make his point of view even more powerful.
On this particular Sunday afternoon, we saw Daddy coming. Bubba and I were sitting on the steps. He ran past us in the house, and next thing we heard was some commotion going. And Bubba was 7, I was 5. We jumped up and we ran, opened the little screen door, and lo and behold, and their mama was coming running up the little narrow hallway. She was trying to get away from him, and he had an axe in his hand. He was behind the tree, and she couldn't make it. There she saw us standing and blocking, and she hollered, "Huel, don't take me away from my children." Huel, she was pleading with them, don't. And she turned right and went into the little bedroom there, and we ran to the door, and he hit her across the chest with an axe and knocked her. She was near a window and knocked her backwards out of a window. And as a result of that hitting, she died 4 days later.
Huel Stewart was never prosecuted. Soon his oldest brother Bubba escaped his father's cruelty. Shelley tried to care for his young siblings, but finally he could take no more. At only 7 years old, he set out on his own.
I believe in God, and I believe the angels of my mother's an angel that stayed with me through God. I just believe in that because I was not that smart. I left Rosedale not knowing where I was going. I was just 7 years of age. Walked across Red Mountain by Vulcan and ended up down at 1st Avenue and 21st Street North. And something at that point, first time in my life, voice within me says, "Turn around, go back, go back."
Shelley continued to follow his instincts and survived by finding shelter and food wherever, however he could.
We would always go behind the grocery stores and restaurants and get food out of the trash cans. We knew how to go and get bread and get stuff out. So bananas, if you threw away banana, we would get the good part, throw the rotten part away. Orange, we would do the same thing, take the good part. So I was looking for that. I went in behind a restaurant there in Crestline, and as I was over into the trash can, a black man, Negro at that time, came out of the back door and caught me over in that trash can. And I was getting food, and I was hungry, but he didn't ask me was I hungry. He kicked me and called me some bad names and told me if he ever catch me there again, he'd kick my butt again. He didn't say, "But kick your ass." And there was a black man. He didn't ask me was I hungry. I was in that trash can. That's where I came from. Nobody. Anyway, I took the same spirit and walked. And I walked And I learned, which I later was Euclid Avenue, which I ended up walking down that avenue. Didn't know where I was going. And lo and behold, it was getting dark, and I saw a white fence coming, running down the highway, and I looked and saw a barn. And someone says, go in that barn and sleep tonight, and just go in that barn, hide out in there. I was hungry. And I got to that barn, and in the breezeway, I heard some voices. I said, oh my God, they're gonna kill me. But then it was a voice that I had heard before. And then there was another voice, and I was hiding on this end. I heard the voice up there. I said, that sounds like Bubba. And lo and behold, it was my brother. It was my brother he'd been taking refuge in that barn 2 years before. That's where he'd been. That's where they trained Tennessee walking horses at Stringfellow Stables, owned by Earl Martin Stringfellow, who owned Stringfellow Lumber Company in Bessemer.
The remarkable reunion gave Shelley Stewart confidence to continue on, and he took to heart words of encouragement from his first-grade teacher, Mamie LeBon Foster.
She knew all about Mama being killed. She knew it, but she lived in that community. And she saw me coming in there, and she grabbed me. That's the only hugging I ever had. She hugged me and said, if you learn to read, if you get a good education, you can become anything that you want to be. That what sticks with me today, Mamie LeBon Foster.
Following Mamie Foster's advice, Shelley finished high school. By then, he'd already found his niche in mass communication.
I learned in high school that I could get that platform and I could entertain and, well, as teach. I mean, so that guy that was sitting there playing the music, but at the same time putting the message out there of unity, of wisdom, of patience, of not hating. That was what I was doing all along.
741-9288, 741 WATV. This is Shelley the Playboy.
He was Shelley the Playboy, very popular entertainer and DJ. There's no question that he made some significant contributions to that whole movement, being well known, of course, and being pretty well liked, you know.
He organized and led the Children's March, and so he was there pretty much immediately after the bombing of the church.
Shelley Stewart's radio personae also allowed him to share the advice that changed his life.
He used the opportunity in the radio station and the radio market as a platform as well to talk about the value of education, staying in school, reading, but consistent in his theme was education, learn how to read, stay in school, and make something out of yourself.
In 2007, Shelley started the MATTIE C. Stewart Foundation to encourage kids to stay in school. Today, the foundation works in 47 states and Canada, and its message of hope has reached more than 15 million children. For Shelley, the foundation's mission is simple.
And that is to improve, not my damn pockets, not to say how great Shelley Stewart is by any means, but instead by making sure that MATTIE C. Stewart did not die in vain because of ignorance, which my father was.
Here's a guy who, for every reason in the world, would have a right to be bitter, and yet somehow he chose early on to pursue a different path. And it's that irrepressibly positive spirit about him that I think has compelled him forward. And I just wish that all of us could in some measure have just a portion of what he has with a positive attitude. No bitterness that I've ever discerned, and I've never heard him speak ill of another human.
Dr. Shelley Stewart's optimistic spirit and passion for human rights guided him throughout his life. His life story is an inspiration for all.
You asked me, I think, somebody asked me, Shelley, what prompted you? I said, well, I can't answer that. Who was your mentor? I can't answer that. Because I had no certain one thing. There were so many things that I looked at. Remember that piece of bread that I would go into the trash can and I would take, it'd be green, much of it would be green, but I would take the good part that was not green, throw the green part away and eat the good part. So if there's a human being sitting from there, I'm never throw the whole human being away. I'm gonna take the good part. There's some good in all of us. I'm gonna try to improve if that's bad. I'm gonna try to make that bad and try to turn the bad part into good. I just don't want to throw it all away. So someone said, Shelley, what did you do? I said, well, I don't know. There's something within me that holdeth the rain. There's something within me that banishes all pain. There's something within me I cannot explain. All that I know is there is something within.